And good evening, everyone, and welcome to Monday Night Live. I am Steve Leahy. How are you all doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I need a cool, intro soundtrack like Scott. I gotta hire someone to write something. Anyway, hope you're all doing well. Hope your Monday is treating you well. Hope your weekend was great. Yeah, we're gonna work on that dollar bill painting tonight. I've got 3 new paintings to show you. I've got some quick show and tell, so that's good too. Yeah, everything's good. So we're gonna switch things around and get right into it. How about that? No waiting around tonight. All right, so let's go to this one. And Dan Mayer, what's up? Hello. Yeah, okay, sorry. Get my head in the way over here somewhere. All right, there we go. Okay. Let's get going. Show and tell. Let me actually, first, before I do show and tell, I want to give my huge thank yous to the people who gave super thanks last week. Honey, Brian Moore, Chris Garcia, Todd Grigsby, and my brother Bob. Thank you so much for that. You guys rock. Yeah, what are we gonna do? Let's show you a few things to kind of get caught up on stuff. I'll say hello to everyone. Brian Moore, holy roly, thank you, sir. You're awesome. Thank you, Brian. Brian, I think I got you covered this week. All right. Dan, hello again. Brian, hello. Honey, what's up? Paul, what's going on? Rick, Ian, Kyle, Todd. Oh my gosh, honey, thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so let's start with this. So this is I'm going to get you guys closer to this. Can I do that right now? Yeah. Let's show you what's going on with this. So we did this last week, and I've done a lot more on this. I pretty much, I got to do a little bit more work on the suckers, but I've got the tentacles pretty much done. I started working on the strap for the respirator, so that's going to be done. And once I get it there, it's pretty much, I just got to do something with the airbrush holder up here. And then I'm pretty much sold on doing all these little rocks down in here. I'm going to gold leaf all of these rocks, so they look like he's sitting on a big pile of gold, which will be a lot of fun. It'll kind of add to that piratey underwater vibe to it. Plus, it'll make it cool. Now, there's a lot going on with this. I talked to Spray Gunner, basically I was talking. I shouldn't have said anything right out of the gate because this has got out of hand quickly. I was thinking I was going to give this away, and we're still working that out. So I talked to Artem at Spray Gunner. He was here last week, and it was great. I don't think Artem knew that I already had said that I was going to give this away because Artem had said he wants this. And here's the thing. He gave this to me originally, that he threw this in with one of my orders or with an order that I placed. So I got to work out some stuff. I got to figure out what's really happening with this guy. If I don't give this one away, if it works out, I'm already talking to Artem about doing a giveaway. Either maybe I'll do another one, or we'll come up with a kit or something, or maybe I will give this one away. I just don't have it worked out yet. But anyway, so that's kind of what's going on with this guy right now. Yeah, I'm looking forward to finishing him up. What I will do with you guys, if I can get the rest of the painting done, because the gold leaf has to be last, I'll do the gold leaf with you guys so you can see how that works on this. And again, the gold leaf has to go on last because you don't clear over it. So that means I got to get the rest of the painting on it. But yeah, that's how it's coming out. So I'm pretty happy with that. So I will keep you guys in the loop with all this, what's happening with this. And again, we talked about giving it away, so I might work out something with Spray Gunner for that too. We got to figure it all out. So anyway, so that's how that's coming out. I'm having fun with that. And I noticed Dave Goldfarb was on last week, and he was the one who started all this because I saw his that he was painting, and his is crazy. I can't believe in the comments I was reading them after, and Dave said he uses his, which is awesome. Robert O'Malley, what's up? Astral, what's good, brother? Yay. Chris Garcia, hello. Michael McClung, hello. All right. Another real quick thing that I wanted to get done too. The painting from last week of Angelina Jolie, Ian's suggestion for Angelina Jolie. I hated the way this came out. It looked like her nose was broken, or it looks like she had a giant nose. Let me switch over and I will show you what I'm talking about. Hold on one second. So here is the way it looked originally, okay? And I'm like, this goes to show you on these small paintings how the tiniest thing makes all the difference in the world. So her nose looks gigantic, like just the way I painted it without the shadow and very sharp makes it look like she has a gigantic nose. So I never do this on 543s. I would just kind of let them go, but I had to fix it. So here is the corrected version of Angelina, and I'll show you the real one here. That might be easier. But that's how she came out for real. So her nose is fixed now. So if you want this one, you have an Angelina Jolie that actually looks like Angelina Jolie. Grumpy, what's up? So again, I never do that, but I did it on this one because I just needed to. All right. The other thing I realized I didn't do is I didn't put the paintings up. I didn't put the paintings on the featured section last week. So I will correct that tonight if I didn't already correct that. So Angelina Jolie and Riddick will both be on the front page with tonight's extras. All right, since I'm also thinking there's so much stuff to do. Tonight's cheers comes from my new friend in Wisconsin. Actually, it's Marge's friend, and we started trading beers. So when Marge goes up to Wisconsin, she brings some stuff from here in Ohio, and he sends stuff back. So this is what he sent. It's Elephant Brewing, and it's Honey's, which is a peanut butter and golden ale. And I've already had these, and it's actually very good. I'm always worried about peanut butter beer. Peanut butter is usually I get this, like peanut butter is better with a stout. But this is surprisingly good because they don't overdo it. So this is made in Somerset, Wisconsin. So very cool, very cool. So that's tonight's cheers. I have another one too from him that's a kind of a cream ale, which is really interesting too. Peanut butter, since we're still talking about yeah, Brian, you'd really like it, but you can't get it unless you go to Wisconsin, because that's the thing. A lot of these microbreweries, they can't ship over the border. So that's what's so fun about what we got going on. I sent him that jalapeno beer from Masthead, which was awesome. And I also sent him a Blood Red from, I can't remember who, someone else local, Akron, I think. Rhea, what's up? I'm glad you're here, Rhea. And I'm sure Todd's here too, somewhere. All right, what else do I got to show you? I got those. Those are done. Oh, big news. So you guys get the first to know. And so I was telling you about the Tikkanen Painting Prize, which is this gigantic show. And I submitted 2 pieces. Well, one of them made the first round, so it goes now. I have to bring my painting up to them, and then if it gets by the second round, it gets in the show, which is insane. So the painting that got in is Island Creek, which is this one, and this is actually the real painting. I don't know if you guys have seen this framed. Grumpy, thank you, buddy. Oh, I'll take that. That'll be part of a pint. I love that. So this is how Island Creek looks right now. This is that 8x10 painting of the little winter scene right outside the house here, and it was masterfully framed by Leahy Art Gallery. Now that's not me. That's my cousin Jim down in Georgia. So there's his little card there, so you can check him out. He's right in Richmond Hill. And Jim is the son of Uncle Mick, the guy I always talk about. So they are an incredibly talented art family. Jim is a great painter, great printmaker, obviously amazing framer. So I had told him what this painting was. I sent him a print and said, make it look like $1 million, and this is the frame he sent back for it. So yeah, so this is going to the Tikkanen show. So hopefully it gets by the next round. If it does, then it's in the show, and you'll probably hear me from Ohio if that happens. I'll find out the second week of August if it actually gets in the show. So there you go. And speaking of the prints, while the painting itself is not available right now because it's going to the show, hopefully, the prints are available, and the prints are one for one. So you can grab the prints. They are signed. I don't sign them till they actually sell. But they are 1 for 1, and they're exactly the same as the painting. So it's kind of cool. So there you go. Is that everything? That's everything. Let's look at new paintings. If it isn't, too bad. What else we got? Thanks, Michael. Yeah, I hope keep your fingers crossed, man. Keep your fingers crossed, because it's an honor to get by the first round. One of my other paintings did not. So you know, it's like I said, it's an honor to get by that first round. But I'm still not in the show yet. I still got one more round to go. But it's nice. I feel better having my painting there, because my paintings look a lot different live than they do photographed. So I think I have a better shot getting in. Well, obviously I have a better shot getting in if I got by the first round. If you don't get by the first round, you don't get in. So there's that. All right, let's look at these. I got 3 for tonight. Back to 3 for now until I can figure out how to get my feet underneath me with the rest of them and get back to doing 5. All right, so Ria's here. So Ria last week asked for a hummingbird, and I've done a hummingbird before, but I love doing them, so I thought I would do another one. And here is my little hummingbird. The last hummingbird I think was in color, so this one I decided to do in black and white. So I'll switch this camera, make sure he or she is in focus. There we go. Fun facts about the hummingbird. The bee hummingbird is the smallest bird of all birds, and it's only about 2 inches long. Hummingbirds' metabolism is so high, they need to eat every 10 minutes, which is crazy. It sounds like me. Because of their unique shoulder, they can fly forward, backward, up, down, and even upside down. And the average speed that a hummingbird's wings flap is about 65 beats per second. So this painting is just called 65. So there you go. There's Ria's hummingbird. So I'm going to tip my hand a little bit tonight. Tonight, what I did was the 3 paintings I chose were all from people who haven't won yet. So I don't usually do that, but I felt like doing that, and it would be fun. And Brian Moore is here, so he gets the next one. So Brian Moore asked last week and asked this week for a bonsai tree. And I've done this painting before too, so I thought I'd do something a little bit different with this one, and this is what I came out with. And you will notice the leaves are very shiny. So what I did was with this, since I was thinking about the leaf for that airbrush holder, I did all the leaves in variegated gold. So that is how that one came out. So the bonsai tree is, of course, the art of growing and shaping these little miniature trees in shallow containers. The history can be traced all the way back to China, and which they were called penjing. The history in Japan can be seen all the way back to the Nara period, which is about 700 to 800 BCE. Bonsai trees were documented in scrolls during the 1200s. And like I said, I use variegated for this. And variegated leaf is really cool. It's basically gold, a piece of gold leaf that's both chemically and heat treated to give it this kind of oil slick look. So all that coppery color in there, that's all the variegated in the leaf. It's really, really cool. So that's what I did. And I called this one variegated because the other one was called bonsai. So I couldn't use that title again. Speaking of not being able to use that title again is our last one. And our last one comes from Mr. Ian Hart, who has also not won yet this year. Ian Hart last week asked for Max Verstappen. And I've done Max before, but I thought I'd do him again. And this is what I came out with. So Max, good old Max, man. He's the Dutch-Belgian Formula One driver. This dude has amassed 65 race wins, 44 pole positions. He has 34 fastest laps, and he's been on the podium 117 times, all by the age of 27, which is ridiculous. So I don't even know if I knew how to tie my shoes at 27. So this is Max's car. He's doing his thing, and that's what I got. So I just called this one Max, even though I called the other one Max. No, I think actually the Mad Max one was called Max. So anyway, this one's called Max as well. And on the website, it's called Max too. All right, so if you win tonight, if you're one of the 6 on the list, one of these 3 or the 3 others, you can choose one of these, or you can choose one of the ones on the site, and that's how it works. So if you're new here, welcome to the family. If you would like to get in on winning one of these, I haven't looked yet, but I'm sure someone's done it because you guys rock. All you do is type 543 and then give me a suggestion for one of these black and white paintings, and that's all you got to do. We go through the whole list, and everyone who made a suggestion gets their hat put in the ring. and then we draw a name. That's how it works, and you get to pick one. That's it. That's it. You don't have to be here next week, but you do have to check. I can't send messages out, which is not as much fun on YouTube, but that's okay because I post it the day after. So if you won, you can do that and just let me know. And if not, you know, I keep track of who wins. So Kelly Drake, what's up? Todd, there you are. Gerald Mendez. Hello, Gerald Mendez. Poco, what's going on? Yay, look at all these people. Love you guys. Patricia, hello. A note for Patricia and also Patty. Actually, Patty is Patricia. Sorry. Patty, I sent out your painting from last week, so that's on its way. And I haven't seen Miss Honey, but Miss Honey, yours is also on its way. And Gerald Mendez, hello, buddy. What is going on? Yeah, Rhea, that's no problem. I love doing like all stuff. So, you know, I'll definitely do repeats. That's not a problem. All right, we got to get on this. So I'm gonna. What camera we got? That camera, good. Here is the dollar bill painting. So to get anyone caught up who hasn't seen this one yet, this is the large, obviously larger painting that I'm working on. This is, I think, 16 by 20-ish, something like that. You guys know what I usually do, you know, the small paintings like Tokyo here. So I usually work really small, but this one I decided, again, this one's been in the mental bank for a long time, and it was always a bigger painting. The original was 30 by 40, which I never finished, and then I tried to do it small and I never finished it, and now it's back up in size to 16 by 20. I think it's 16 by 20, whatever it is, something like that. And I want a real classic, you know, classic still life type of feel with it. This painting here was the painting that I had planned as my magnum opus for the Tikkanen Prize, the painting show that the Creek got in. It was supposed to be this painting and the other painting of the Fender. Ironically, I didn't finish this in time, and the Fender painting didn't get in. So it just goes to show you how, you know, we have such little control over the world around us. So in a way, I'm glad this painting didn't get in because there's something that's not sitting right with me, and I can't put my finger on it. So we're going to work on this painting tonight, and I'll kind of explain where my head's at with this, and you know, kind of show you why sometimes these blessings, these things that seem like a bad thing are really a blessing. You know. What else we got? Oh, that's a good one, Rick Lotta. Awesome. Good. Okay, which camera we got? I need the big boy. So we're gonna get right in on this one, this bill right here, because that's the one I was working on, and I'll kind of tell you. Actually, let me show you first, since I have all these pictures, and it'll give you an idea. Like, I don't have the answer for why it doesn't look right to me. Some other things that happened real quick, which will also help out too. This painting, because I haven't been working on it, it's been bouncing around, got damaged a little bit. It's got some scratches in it. I also don't care about that because that's going to allow me to rework the background too, and maybe that's what it needs too. So again, I'm not entirely sure of the hell I'm doing with this, but the thing that I was inspired by this painting, and I'll switch back to this so you can see a little bit more of it. I want a real old school, like a traditional type still life, things like Cezanne. So this painting here, not as graphic as Cezanne, you know, not as you know, as outlined as Cezanne, but you know, Chardin has this guy right here. But see how dark these are and how the light is very strong on them. This is the feel that I wanted. Here's a great one by Goya. Again, the background is really dark. You're right on that still life. You know, there's a strong light on the subject, but not on the background. And then Spencer, here's another great one. And again, same feel, like strong light, real dark background, just a real, like, you know, dominating, centralized still life. You know, that's what I wanted. It's out of my comfort zone. And so that's really what I was kind of going for. Now, the reference photo that I've had for a really long time, about 15 years, I think, maybe 10 years, is this one, and this is the dollar bill. Now obviously this is a lot lighter. However, I knew I'd be messing around with it and doing some stuff. So now you're caught up with that. So this painting, and again, it's actually washed out because of these lights, but it is dark. You know, that was fine. It was coming together. I just felt like, you know, I stopped because it was okay, but I'm not sure that it's there yet. It might be there. I can't wrap my head around it. The reason why I stopped on the background and didn't do any more on that is because I really felt like I needed to get the foreground really in, you know, so that at least blocked in so that I could start making some relative decisions between the two, if that makes sense. Because with just the underpainting, this gray against the background, I'm making the kind of decisions on what the background is supposed to be against this just bland gray. It needs to have the really bright areas that are lit up. It needs those dark areas like in here to really make the decision on the background. So I was okay with kind of leaving the background. But something's going on with this that I'm not quite sure of, and we're going to kind of get into it. So, all right, we switch to this, so we're closer. I haven't even decided like where we're going to work on this. I think what I'll do is I'll start poking around over here a little bit. Yeah, because there's some real dark right here, and I think that's going to help maybe with how I'm feeling about it, because I'm not sure if what I'm seeing is just because it's incomplete, or if I need to change things up a little bit. Is the table too bright? I'm not. That's it, Brian. I'm not sure. Actually, I've darkened the table, and there's some other shadows that are going on here. Yeah, I don't know. What do you know about that? So, like I said, you guys are. This is what happens. This is how it goes. Especially with a painting, for me, wow, I damaged that up on top too, up here, you can't really see it. Especially with a painting that's like kind of going outside of what I normally do. There's a lot of figuring out. The trick is for me to not commit to anything super hard so that I'm stuck, you know what I mean? I'd rather, like with the background, I'd like to go till I'm like weirdly uncomfortable with it. Like, do I add more or do I not add more? And then stop there, because again, like I always say, you can always add more. It's super hard to like reverse that. Like if I want to make this background lighter, that's a chore. It can be done. It's not impossible, but it's still a chore. Chiaroscuro, yeah, and also astral, as difficult as it is to say as well. I think when you're done with the painting, it should go into the museum. That'd be awesome, Michael. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, that's the fine artist's goal, is to be in a museum or several museums. But you know, I understand. You know, I got to be good enough. I got to do a piece of art that's worthy of that. So that's what I'm going to try to do. Here's my reference photo. Usually I use a tablet, but this time I printed out a reference photo because I want a little bit different idea. The other thing too. It gives me a different, like, let me show you, slide this over a little bit. The photocopy has a different take on this than the tablet does. The tablet has a much crisper, a little bit more vibrant kind of colors because of the way that the tablet is illuminated than like a printout. So it's nice to sometimes see the difference, you know, between the two. For instance, like the detail is much more washed out in the photocopy than it is in mine. Again, that may be it. That may be part of it. So that part of, you know, where I'm feeling like it's not quite there. But again, it's all part of messing around with it. And that's what we're going to do. So what I'm going to do here, since I've already got the underpainting done, all this stuff here, which represents like this lightest color right here without the yellow. It's the same value right here to here, and also some of that too. I'm going to really work on this area here too, and then bleed it into this so that, you know, we're going to kind of get it all going. So the first thing to do is to establish that dark here, so I'm not wrestling with it. The details are great. The details are great down in here, which will happen in the numbers and all that, but it's to get these large areas blocked in first, because I can always paint the details over and then, you know, well, shut up and just paint, right? If you have any questions, I promise I will try my best to see them. Quick little paper and get an idea of how honey, yeah, yay. What have we got? And if the crinkles in the dollar bills don't work for you, you could crinkle the paper to get an idea of how it would sit. Yeah. Big Ben. Look at you guys go. Yay. James Cully, what's up? Tone, what's good, man? Good to see you. All right. All right, so to start this, I'm going to creep up on it. It's got a lot of that rusty color from the background, which is right over here. It's also got some black. I'll show it to you. It's also got some black to it. So I'm going to start with this rusty color, and maybe add a little bit of black to it, just to kind of get it started. Again, I want to creep up on this. I don't want to nail it, you know, because if two reasons I don't like to mix the exact color. Like to pick like this color right here and mix this color and then just spray it to opacity. I like that. Again, this is because I was brought up as a watercolorist where everything is transparent. I like that the way that the light goes through transparent layers and then bounces back to your eye. I like that feel. And it's one of the reasons why the paintings look different live than they do in a photograph from me. Like if I do a reproduction like the prints, they always look different than the original because the original has those multiple layers of paint that the light's kind of going through, going down the surface and then bouncing back, you know? So I like to creep up on it. So this is red oxide, which we'll get this. Does Margin, are you cheaper? You're cheaper? Chris, nice. I am going to add a little bit of black to this because the red oxide is going to come out orange if I don't, like bright orange. So I'm going to tone this down with a little bit of black first, just to kind of get me started. And I'm going to add some 40, 50 to this too, just to kind of thin it out a little bit, to give myself more transparency. Again, I want to creep up on this. I really don't want to nail it. Now, the downside of doing it this way is it's easy to overshoot that color you're looking for. You know what I mean? Like if like right now I'm you know, too light and too thin to really get into trouble. However, it'll get to the point where I'll have it as close or pretty close to that dark color, and it's going to be easy for me to just overshoot that color and then make it too dark. Where if you're mixing for the color, if you're mixing, you know, the actual color, you can add as much of that color as you want and you're never going to overshoot it, which is the advantage there. So again, it's more of a style of painting. I don't know necessarily that one way is quote unquote right. All right, you guys are in. Let's see what we got here. I'm expecting this to be very orange to start, which is fine. What I'm really, really hoping is that I'm overthinking this, which is, I know, a shocker. If you know me, and if Marge is watching, stop. Just stop. Don't say anymore. I overthink everything, and it's, you know, it is what it is. So I'm hoping that I'm overthinking all this and I just need to like work on the painting and just kind of let it happen. You know what I mean? But we'll see. We'll see. And so what this does right here is I'm going to be taking a darker part of this, and then once I get this locked in, I'm hoping it'll kind of make me feel a lot better about, you know, what I've already done. It's funny because, you know, no matter where you are in your career, and I think, you know, I hope Gerald can attest to this too, because I know I feel this way. There's always a moment or moments in your work where you just want to toss it. Like, it's like sometimes things just feel like they're going sideways. And I know people who are beginners or in the beginning stages of it always feel that way, because I know I did. But that feeling, you know, is always somewhere in there, you know? And I guess the moral of the story is to just kind of know that you're not alone with that, and you just kind of fight through it, you know? And it's the fun of what we do, you know. The fun of what we do is that it's a challenge, you know, and it's like when we get stuff down and we hit on things that are, you know, new for us and new techniques, and, you know, wow, that worked, you know, that kind of thing. And then that's one more, tool in the toolbox. But to get there is painful in a lot of instances. You know what I mean? I gotta move these brushes because I need to be able to hang this up because you guys are where I'm going to be working. No, that's fine. I was going to move it down, but we're going to work up here too. So yeah, so as you're kind of getting your own thing down, just know that that's kind of how it works for everyone. This feels very orange, like too orange, which is okay. Again, because I'm putting this on really, really lightly, so it's okay. Plus, like up in here, you'll see this turns green here, which is amazing. Yeah, so it's fun. Yeah, and like I said, this painting, I had plans on entering this in, the Tikkanen show. I didn't have it finished, but that's okay because that means I can enter it next year. You know what I mean? It'll be a painting for next year. And Albers Fender, the Fender painting, I'm already looking at other places to enter that. So that's also not a big deal. As I always say, there's more great paintings than wall space in one of those shows. So you don't try not to take it too hard when something you did doesn't do what it's supposed to do in your mind. So what I'm doing is, again, I'm taking this orange and I'm just kind of blocking this in really, really lightly though, because again, I don't want to push this too hard and then have it be, something that I'm going to have to fix later. You guys can't see this because you're too close. So I'm going to move you back a little bit. I saw that, whoever that was. Thank you. I'm going to look at it closer up in a second so I can see it. Once I get you guys to a point where you can see the whole thing. Who did that? Bug. You're an animal. Thank you so much, Bug. All right. There we go. So now you can see the whole thing. Because I'm going to run this basically wherever it needs to be, which is down here and over here too. Yeah, this orange kind of flares up through this. Now what's really nice about this too, and this is something that took me a long time to get down, I was always like the kind of person that would have to mask everything off and block everything. You guys really can't see it except for right here, but obviously there's a lot of red oxide in the background. So even though I masked this off originally, now it's not masked off. So as I'm spraying like these other layers, I'm not worried about this color getting into the background. One, because it's so thin and it's the same color, it's not going to make any difference. But that's also going to soften these edges too. And that's really great, because if I didn't, then it would be a problem that I used to have all the time with my stuff, that it was very like jigsaw puzzle like each piece looked like they were stuck on there like stickers, and that took me a long time to get by that. And the way that I did that was really to try to add more of this just without mask type of painting. Some people make too big of a deal out of this, the freehand stuff. It's an extremely valuable tool when you're working with an airbrush, to be able to control the airbrush in this way. However, it's not the end of the game. If I need a sharp edge, you guys know that I'll do whatever I need to do. Cut a mask, use adhesive mask. And it just, again, my goal isn't to say I use this technique or that technique. My goal in the end is to have a good painting, whatever that is. It needs to tell the story that I want it to tell. I need to move the comments over so I can see them, because I'm way over here and you guys are way over there. I'm going to see if I can do this where I can see you guys a little bit better. Here we go. If I put you guys down here, what'll happen with that? Oh, yeah, that kind of works. Here we go. Mike Stevenson. See, I saw Mike. I saw people saying hi to Mike. All right. I don't know where the top side shadow is. I'm gonna have to, but I can use my reference for that. So this is a great trick too, and I know I've showed you guys this before. This photograph printout is 1-for-1 for the painting. So what I can do is I can use the photograph, the copy, to help me with the drawing. So I just line this up so it's correct, and then I can look at this area here where these shadows are, and I can just like stare at it for a second and then flip the copy away, and I can make a light sketch on the painting where those other shadows are. Ooh, there's blue in there too. That's lovely. So you could do your whole painting like this. You could literally just, take it in sections and draw right on there. In fact, a lot of Island Creek, the creek painting, was done this way, where there was no drawing on that panel when I started. It was blank. And what I did was I used the photocopy to kind of look at where things were, and then I would move them aside and just paint. So you had that persistence of vision, that thing where you kind of see it for a second after. I'm not in the right spot, but that's okay. It'll get me close enough for rock and roll. So it just helps you kind of get stuff in lightly where it needs to be and feel pretty good about that. Good. Gerald Mendez. Red oxide, a candy color, is illustration color. I didn't know red oxide was illustration color. It isn't. It's a wicked color. It is... oxide red is 0012, or I think the new numbering, this is an old bottle, the new numbering system might be 0012, but it's wicked oxide red. It's actually just in the wicked line. This is my go-to orange. I love this color. Do not know what I would do without it. Just a great color. Yeah, it's more rusty than like grabber orange. What do they call it? Grabber orange? Candy orange? What's the candy color? Wicked red oxide. That's not it. That's the same color. Where's my candy orange? Oh, yeah, it's still called grabber orange. Yeah, it looks the same like as it's dripping on the bottle, but yeah, you know how vibrant this is, Gerald. The red oxide is a little bit more rusty. I mean, it's still pretty vibrant if you were to just spray it straight out. But yeah. All right, so there's green in there. Is that enough orange? Again, what I just did is key to getting it done. If I say, is that enough orange? Then for me, that's enough orange. You know what I mean? Like I'll just put it aside and I'll, go on and do the rest of this thing. So since I have the orange in here and it's already mixed up, I'm going to kind of do some of this back here because it goes on back here as well. I don't have the rest of the image. It cuts off there. I do have it. It's, I just didn't print it out. So I'm not going to do a bunch of the stuff that's out here because I don't really know what's going on and I don't want to guess. So we're just going to kind of get it started. So as I get there, it'll be have a little bit of a border before I do the other part. All right, so let's get that green in there now. So that's going to be my other favorite color. Wait, there is a candy red oxide. Oh, I haven't used the candies very much, so I don't know what the whole line looks like. Candy red oxide would be amazing. All right, so my next favorite color is moss green. It seems to be my go-to green, which is one of the detail colors. W059 is detail moss green. So that's my kind of go-to green. So there's green that's reflecting, or it's like it's a secondary kind of feel, and there's also some blue in here too. So we'll nail all that. Yeah, no, this is okay. Gerald will use green, but yeah. But he needs an exorcism before he does. All right, same thing. Any earthy colors, green included in that, moss green, is even through the detail colors are a little bit more difficult to spray, so I do reduce that a little bit and add a little bit of that 40-50 with it as well. This I'm not going to add any black too. I could, but I'm just tinting this tiny area a little bit. And the same thing will happen with the blue. So I can use the moss green straight out of the, without adding any color to it. So the green happens right up in here, which if I slide this over, you can see it. It's right there. My pinky is. Oh, I almost dropped brown on this. That's not ideal. Where'd that come from? Anyway, all right, green. So what I'm doing here is I'm really just lightly, there we go, really lightly going over this to start to just barely turn that green color. And again, I want to work on this. I want to add this green until I say to myself, oh, does it need more? And as soon as I get there, which I feel I'm there now, I'm going to leave it alone. Again, because I can always add more green to it, right? And the same thing, that green kind of trails along the edge of the orange, which is, I know what that is there's, like I said, there's a blue that's reflecting from the sunlight or the sky that's coming through the window here. And the blue against the orange will kind of, you know, make weird things happen like this green. So that's kind of where that's coming from. So we're going to add that in here. So when we do add the blue in, we have that transition and we're ready to rock. Again, I'm not worried about all the details on the bill. There's a lot going on there. But down in here, most of this is just a really dark umber, black umberish. And in the light, it's black. So all that's going to go on top of this anyway, you know? So I'm not worried about that. Do you guys hang your art up in your house? Brian, I do not have my stuff hanging up. I have other people's stuff, but I don't have my own stuff. What else we got? And again, that's not judgment on anyone who hangs their own stuff up in their house. A lot of people do. But I'm fortunate that, you know, I have some art through trades and stuff I've collected along the way, and, you know, that's the stuff that makes me happy. I'm going to add a little bit of right here too. There isn't much of it, but I feel like it should be. And the same thing down in here too, which is just almost off the screen. I feel like there's that green is in there as well. Now the front of this side of the bill, the front of the bill, the U.S. bill has no green in it. At least this old bill. The old bills, which is funny, you always think money's green, or U.S. money is green. The back side that's green, the front side is gray. So I don't know about new bills. That felt judgy. I did not mean that to be judgy. If you hang your own artwork, that's amazing. Wait, do I have anything of my stuff hanging? I used to in the studio, and partially because, like, I had one of the jet prints hanging that I did, the F-18, and that's partially because, or almost all because there was an entire the entire group of pilots from that squadron signed the print all over it, so I had that hanging for a while. It got wet though, which bums me out. It's not totally destroyed, but it's going to need some conservation. And wait, I shouldn't say that. I gave Marge a painting of mine, so we do have something of mine hanging. Marge won't give me any of her artwork, so I don't have anything of hers. I do have a Brian Moore. I have a Michael McClung. Unfortunately, I have a Rod Fuchs. I have a Scott McKay. I have a Keith Hansen. I have a Nub. I was going to say I had a Mike Learn, but I don't. I do have a Mike Learn. I have part of a Mike Learn. So, yeah, I got a bunch of stuff, cool stuff hanging on. I know I'm forgetting stuff. Yeah, Gary, thank you. I appreciate that. All right. Yeah, I'm feeling good. And I'm starting to notice, and I don't know if it's just this photocopy, but again, this is where it gets fun. So this may be one of the things that I was kind of lamenting about. So I was having a feeling, sorry about my nose in the way, I'm trying to look at the camera at the same time. I was having a feeling that this was too simple, and I don't mean detail wise. All the line work, it's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the colors and the way that they're built here. And looking at this, like I'm starting to see that there is kind of green woven in here, and I don't know if those are artifacts in the digital photo or what, but I can see them here. So I'm going to add some of those in, and again, I'm looking for things that are going to make me feel better about this. Like, that's try to figure out what's missing. I don't want to make big sweeping changes to it, because if I make a wrong decision, then that's a lot to fix. But kind of poking in a little bit of green here and there is not going to break the bank, so to speak. See what I did there? Money, bank, get it? Yeah. So I just add a little bit of touches of green in there, and that's not gonna hurt it. Yeah, I'm seeing brown in there too. All right, you know what? Should have waited on that oxide. No, I'm gonna stay focused. All right, I got the green in, I got the orange in. Let me get that blue in. What else we got? I admire Okama Studio, and the only art of artists that I admire, including. Oh, thanks, Gerald. Gerald's, yeah, I do. I did say I have one of Gerald's, right? Because I do. That was one of the most fun. And oh my gosh, I also, around that same time that I did that art swap with Gerald, I did an art swap with the late great Kiwi Terry, and I am so happy that worked out the way that it did. For all the regrets that I have along the way, like missing Mike LaValle, we never met. I talked to him once, I think. Just to have run across Kiwi at Coast, and then having us swap art right after that. And then, unfortunately, he passed way too soon. It makes me super happy that I have a painting of his. Yeah. And then Mike from Mike's Brush, I have a painting, speaking of the Coast thing. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, and it's super common. I did not mean to say that you're a narcissist if you have your own artwork on the wall. It's not uncommon at all. Like I said, I mean, in the studio, like I said, I have a bunch of other people's stuff up. Not right now, because I'm pulling everything down so I can remodel. But yeah. All right, I think we're at the point to try to dump some of this down to that value. No, the blue. Thanks for reminding me. Blue. What am I going to use for blue? Wicked blue is too green. Daylight blue, no. It's kind of bluish green, but I don't want bluish green. I almost want like a blue violet. So let's use blue violet. How do you pros do a 4-way art battle? 3 random items. How about you pros do a 4-way art battle? 3 random items must be in the piece. Winner takes all. Yikes. That does sound fun, like the 1000 stuff. 1000, is that what it is, Brian? All right. Yeah, so I'm using, this is Detail Blue Violet, which I just threw in here without showing you guys. Detail Blue Violet? I should really organize these so I can actually find them when I need them. Red Violet. Yes. Oh, 0057. Blue, Detail Blue Violet. Chat votes the winner. Wow. Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Like, this is such a pretty blue. And I don't know that this is going to be too strong, so I have to be real careful. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, that's it. Yeah. Okay, good. All right, so this is blue violet. This is so subtle. I got to be real careful with this because this blue violet is super, super like vibrant. So I'm just going to really lightly go over this and get a little bit of that blue in there. Can you even see that? It's there for sure. So one quick note about brushes too. So whenever you see like the Custom Micron B or the, you know, the Infinity CR Plus, and everyone's talking about detail and, you know, doing tiny lines and tiny details with all these brushes, that's not all these things do. So what I'm doing right now with this brush is I'm putting on a nearly imperceptible fade on this. I'm back pretty far. I'm about 1.5 inches away. And what this does is it atomizes paint so finely, again, which translates to really fine detail when you're up close, like a real sharp line. But it breaks paint down so finely that you could put almost this almost invisible layer of paint on. It has the most control. These really tiny brushes, like the point, you know, 1.5 all the way up to like 2. So that's also what they're really, really, really good for. So when you get one of these brushes, or when you're trying to decide on whether to buy one of these super high detail brushes, know that it's not only that they do real tight close-up work, they also are the master of subtle, you know, fading and control that way too. Did you the shop? Wait, I bought a bottle of Wicked paint from the store. I cannot find it now. Oh, Michael, that's the story of my life, dude. In fact, I just did that with a piece of steel. I bought a little piece of steel because I needed, you know, I needed for something, and then for the life of me, I could not find it. I did find it, but it was like, what the heck? All right, so same thing here. I've got the blue in here, so now I'm going to kind of run around this thing and see if I can see this in other places, which I can out here. This feels very warm out here, which it doesn't in my painting, which again, that's starting to not bug me, but I'm like, oh, maybe that's what I'm missing out there. All right, so again, I desperately don't want to overdo this blue. Good, I'll leave it there. Enzo! It's 4021, the new reducer. Custom, yeah, Tone, this is the regular B, the gravity feed. It's essentially, it's the same brush as the SB, the side feed, except it's a gravity feed instead of a side feed. My CMSB is put away. That's the brush my dad gave me. If you had that one, it's the same brush. The feed is a little bit different, you know, the way that it feels when the paint's going through the brush. I kind of feel like, you know, until the SB is primed, meaning that paint is all the way through the cup and then in the head of the brush, I feel like the response is a little bit faster on the gravity feed, but that just may be, you know, that just may be me. And I just dropped the tablet. Luckily, it landed on my foot, which is also still numb, which is fun. There we go. Did that work? Yeah, it's fun. I dropped the tablet, and it landed on my foot, and I didn't feel it. But it's okay. Everything's working. All right. Yes, I've avoided doing any Aussie stuff. I would do a 543 of Aussie, but so many artists jumped on that. And the problem with doing a 543 is I wouldn't want to sell that. That's you know, that seems to be bandwagony, you know, like to do a painting and then try to sell it. But if someone won it, if I did it and someone won it, that's different. Gerald, once you touch a Micron, you don't want to go back to another model because you control everything with more accuracy and perfect blending. A Micron fanatic, but of course these other models too. Yeah, that's the thing. Like I could, if people ask, you know, all the time, like for me, like what if I only have three, you know, say 3 brushes, it would be the Micron B, the Micron C, and then the Eclipse CS. Those would be the 3 brushes that I'd pick. I use a lot more brushes than that. You know, like I love the Tritium, the fan capped Tritium, this little guy right here. I use this all the time to the point where like I'm beating the absolute crap out of this brush. In fact, I just broke the back end of it again. The needle's bent. But I abuse this thing and it keeps bouncing back, but I use it all the time. I do have two Eclipse CSs, but one of them, you guys know, has a 0.5 millimeter nozzle and needle in it, like a t-shirt brush. So this is great for doing like metallics and clearing, like small, like those 543s. I use this to put the UVLS on it. So this one gets a ton of use too. I've really come to love the XGI by Grex, this little 0.3, especially now that they have that bullet cap on it. I find I use that one a bunch. But yeah, the big three for me are the Microns and the CS. Now, you guys know what I do though. So if I was a t-shirt painter and I said I use the Microns, I'd be dumb, because my brushes wouldn't work the right way and they'd keep getting clogged up because the t-shirt paint is so thick, and it'd be a mess because I couldn't do more than one t-shirt every 2 hours because I'd always be cleaning the brush out. So it depends on what type of painting you do, and then, I watch guys that use other brands, like Harder and Steenbeck. They have such a broad range of brushes and they all seem to be like kicking butt. So I don't know. You just got to try a couple of them and see if they're comfortable and if they do what you need to do. I'm sorry. There we go. Brian Moore. I have an Eclipse with a 3.5 nozzle. What's a smaller needle model? So there isn't one for the Eclipse. The Eclipse is the 3.35 is what comes in it. This one. So when you buy an Eclipse, you get it with a 3.5. That's the smallest needle that comes with that brush. So if you want a smaller needle than that, you need to go with an HPC, which will, do I have one? If you're, this is of course if you're sticking with Iwata. Where's my HPC? It's not here. Oh, it might, yeah, it's on the other side. It's about to get spa-dayed. The HPC is, it's just like this. It's just like the Eclipse, but it's got a 0.3 millimeter nozzle, and the way that the nozzle sits in there, it screws in instead of, as a self-centering nozzle. So it's a better brush for detail work. It was really the go-to for the longest time. But then from there, the next jump up is really the Microns. You can get like an HPB. I don't think I have one of those. No. Which is the high performance version of, it's just this brush, but with a 0.2 millimeter. It's the Micron, the 0.2. I don't know. If you're looking for detail and you already have an Eclipse CS and you need something like just extreme detail, unless you like collecting brushes, like I said, I would, the next jump up from me would be this brush, or the Micron C. The regular B, which has a 0.2 millimeter, is close to this, but this is just nicer than the B. And it's, it's all around just higher detail than the B. I don't even know if they still make the B or not. I think they do. High performance B. But anyway, that's it. That's what I got for that. CH, yeah. So there you go, Ian. That's a killer brush. I could, if someone said the Micron or the regular high performance C is the only brush you can use for the rest of your life, I could do pretty much everything I do now. So yeah. What else we got? Wayne, I got to do that 543 for you. You keep asking for that. Yeah, it is Colin. What's up, buddy? Yay. All right, so where was I at? Where was I at? That's my good English for you. I've got the blue, I've got the green, I've got the orange. So let's start darkening this a little bit and see what happens. The primary color in this is black, but I think I'm going to use a little bit of Blumber for this. And this is a good example of why I love what I love from my brushes. So the B is great for doing what I just did, right? It puts on, not only does it do tiny detail work, but I can do these really soft fades with this brush. However, the Micron B does not handle those earthy, heavy colors the same way that the Micron C does. So this has a slightly larger nozzle. So when I want to do if I want to do like high detail with white or with, this burnt umber, this real gummy burnt umber, This brush will do this, kind of do the same job as the B. But because it's bigger, it's a little bit bigger brush, it can handle that heavier paint better. So it'll give me the same results, but it won't clog as much, Yes. Yeah, that's exactly it, Gerald. And that's a great point that Gerald brings up, because you look at them on paper, and the HPB, the high performance B, which looks a lot like the Micron B, has a difference in nozzle size of 2/100ths of a millimeter. Think about that. So 1 millimeter is tiny. So the difference between this and a regular HPB is 2/100ths of a millimeter. That's the only difference between the nozzle size. But it's not just the nozzle size that makes a difference. It's the way they hand match these, the head systems. It's the way that the head systems work in general. It's a completely different animal, other than just that little difference in nozzle size. So yeah, Gerald, thank you. That's a great point. Honey, oh, it's showtime. Thanks. I'm getting all carried away. Let's give away a painting real quick, and then we'll jump back on this, because I want to get the dark areas down, and I want to back this out so you can see it, and hopefully we'll have a better feel about this than I did when we started. Do I want to leave this? Yeah, I'm going to leave this right here, because what could go wrong? All right. Oh boy, thank you, honey. I don't know what I'd do. There's Steve. What's up, Steve? And Steve, thank you so much for posting that nice post. You guys are amazing when you post stuff, when you get paintings and you share them and post them. That makes me feel so good. So thank you. All right, let's look at these real quick, and then we'll give one away. So we're going to do these in reverse order, because that's the way I have them. First up is Ian Hart is Max Verstappen. Oh, it's about the same. Yeah. So that's Max. These paintings, I do these all with I do them all with the CS. So the Eclipse CS does the white parts, and then the Micron B does everything else for these. So, and again, that super soft fade in the background, that's what the Micron B does. Like the C couldn't do that, the CS. It would have a really nice fade, but it would be grainier. You'd see the little droplets of paint. Not much, but still, this is like imperceptible, this fade, because the Micron B breaks the paint down so fine. So that's what I'm trying to say, but I can't. So there's Max. I'll throw these down here because I can't use the magnet through here. In case anyone's wondering too, I didn't mention it. This panel is an aluminum panel with a PVC core and then another piece of aluminum on the back. So you can get these Alumacore panels from signed suppliers. That's where I got mine. All right, next is Ria. Ria asked for a hummingbird. This is my little hummingbird. And I call this one 65 because hummingbirds, on average, can beat their wings 65 beats per second. Just crazy. And finally, Brian Moore asked for a bonsai tree. And I did this one in gold leaf. So here's how this one came out. And this one just called variegated because of the variegated gold leaf. So there you have 3. Look at that. They sit so nicely. So again, we had 6 people on the list for tonight. I will show you that list so you know I'm not lying to you. So can you paint both sides, buy one, get one? Nice, Steve. Yeah, you could. You definitely could paint both sides. In fact, I think Scott did that. I think Scott had 2 paintings on one panel. This one will not be two-sided though. Thanks. Thanks. Yeah, I'm happy with the bonsai tree. It was a last minute, like a game time decision, but I'm glad I did that. So here is your list. So Wayne, Brian, Ian, Mike Manning, Ria, and London Penn is on that list. So let me jump back to what I want to do here. Oh, I gotta get the random number thingy, which is this one. So there's all 6. Again, if you would like to get in on this, you can just make a suggestion like all these fine people have been doing. You can't win. You guys have seen a lot of suggestions. So you can't win more than once in a season. So that's why people are making suggestions, but their name isn't getting on the list because they've already won. So that's how that worked. But they're playing along because they're awesome human beings, and it keeps everything fun. Although you do get points, which Colin's on, and Colin, I got to talk to you about the point thing so I can start posting the point list too. So here's your winner, number 5. Who had 5? Look at that, Ria. Congratulations, you win. So Ria, you know the drill now. You've been here long enough. You can choose your hummingbird. You don't have to. You can go on the website and look at all of them and pick one of those. You can choose one of these 3 from tonight. Do whatever you want. Again, if you win on the night, the winner gets their choice of the 3 new ones before they go live. So if you win and you're here, just let me know before the end of the feed if you want one of these 3, and I won't put them on the site. If you don't want one of these, that's cool. All 3 of them will go up on the site. And if you're interested in purchasing them, they are always 50% off. So that's cool. So congratulations, Miss Ria. So Steve, so you included the stencil. Oh, nice. Yeah, Steve, the painting you got did include the stencil. The magnet painting that I did, the painting of the 543 I did of my little magnet. If you buy that painting, or if you win that painting, you get one of my magnets. So there's that too. So a couple of them have special things like that. There you go. And yes, even if you're not of the U.S. Nice, Sean. Even if you're not in the U.S., if you're international, if the Postal Service will ship to you, I pay for shipping on that. Oh, she wants a hummingbird. You got it. Ria, that's all yours. I will get that to you. So what you got to do is in a private message, just email me or send me a message on my website at stephenleahy.com with your shipping address where you would like that shipped. Please don't do it in the comments unless you want everyone to send you presents. So send me a message and I will ship that out. Mr. Anderson. Yeah, Steve, if you buy this painting, I will send you a dollar bill with it. I may even send you $2 bills with it. How do you like that? Nice. Great. I love it. So now Ria's off the list. So now if you're still haven't won, we're only in we're almost in August here, and there's only 6 people on the list. Trust me, that list, you don't see it because I don't print out. We do have spreadsheets with all your suggestions. So that's like 40 lines long, you know what I mean? But it's only 6 of the people were eligible. So yeah, so it's fun. I totally appreciate you guys having a good time with this. Mr. Anderson. Nice. All right, let's get some dark in this. So for this again, I don't want to just put black in this. The opaque black from Createx is really nice. It's really warm. It's got a lot of brown in it, but it doesn't have enough brown in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the infamous Blumber paint, which is Wicked Opaque Black and Burnt Umber. So I mixed this up myself. There is no real formula to it. Yeah, it's just kind of whatever. And I adjust as we go. Ryan, what's going on? Oh, nice, Steve. Yeah. All right. So the way this is going to go, and let me just do it. Again, Gary's saying, like, just shut up and paint. And he's right. So again, what I was talking about, I'm going to use the Micron C for this because it just handles this thicker paint better. And again, you know, black is okay. The opaque sprays really, really well, but the umber does not. It just doesn't really want to spray great. You know, it spits a lot. It's a thicker pigmented paint. It's the way I describe it is it feels rubbery. So it just kind of gets in there and it, you know, gums things up and it just doesn't want to spray right. So because the Micron C has a slightly bigger nozzle than the Micron B, it can handle that a little bit better. Now we were just talking about this, and you know, don't let it confuse you. You know, Iwata has a really great website, and they tell you what each brush is intended for, it helps you look beyond just the numbers. So this Micron C here has a 0.23 millimeter nozzle in it. So 23 hundredths of a millimeter is the opening of that nozzle. Again, I don't have one sitting here, but the Micron, the regular HPC has a 0.3 millimeter nozzle in it, which is just a little bit bigger than this one. That HPB, the one I talked about earlier, has a 0.2 millimeter nozzle, so it's actually smaller than this one. But this brush, it does finer detail than the HPB. It's just the way that the nozzle is set up. It's, you know, it's not just about the nozzle opening size, it's really how they put it together, you know, and how they keep it all going. All right, a $27 bill. It's one of my favorite moments. All right, so here it is. So what I've done is I've added again a little bit of 4050 to it and some reducer. Now this reducer I'm using, I saw that pop up a little bit, is the 4021. So I'm using that new reducer. And for airbrushing, that's working out really, really well. I jumped back to the 4011 for the palette stuff, for the brush work, and I'm kind of testing the two out and seeing which one. Ideally, what's going to happen is I'll be able to use the 4021 for both. However, I'm not 100% sure that that's the way that's going to go yet. So again, the same deal here. Even though this is really dark, you can't see it because it's not on the screen, but I'm going to slide this over so you can see it. See how dark that area is? I'm nowhere near that. Actually, can I do this so that you can see it too? Maybe. Wolf in Sheep's Clothing, that's good. 37. Oh, did the price go up? That's going to be obnoxious, so I'll put that down there. These heavy-duty magnets will go through the PVC, but they're not great. You know, they can't really hold on. I mean, I could use a jumbo magnet, but... So the two things I'm kind of keeping track of right now is the value. You know, I don't want to get too crazy with this. I don't want to get all the way down to 100% right away. And the other thing I want to do is I want to keep an eye on those colors too. So that orange that I put in there, this burnt umber is going to overpower that pretty quick. So it's going to be, I know I'm going to have to do it, but again, it's planned, where I'm probably going to have to add a little bit more red oxide to this because the brown will just take over everything. And that's okay. That's fine. Again, because if I just have to, you know, add a little shot of orange, you know, red oxide in there to get that back to where it should be, then that's great. If I add too much orange, that's a pain in the butt to fix, especially on this, you know, because there's so many different layers and everything. It would really mean that I'd have to repaint the whole, you know, underpainting. Honey, I think you're taking off. Have a great night, honey. Texting and driving, yeah, don't do that. Not that you would. I'm picking up some red in here too. Again, that's nice to get all that. Then I also have that green edge right here. So I want to be careful not to blow that out. You know, not to put too much stuff on there. So what I was going to say earlier that I didn't say was that, yeah, I won't even, I mean, even as I go, I'm not going to get this 100% to the same value yet. I'll get this about halfway, and then I'll go and put in all the, you know, the details, all the filigree details. And then the last step is to continue that, you know, adding the darkness till it's down to the correct value. And the way that the reason why is because that sandwiches the detail in between these colors. It's not, the black isn't sitting on top, the details aren't sitting on top, because obviously, you know, in the real bill here, it's the details first on the you know, light gray bill, and then the shadows are on top of that. So and you know, I could have painted it that way. I could have put in all the details and then done all this. But what's nice about this method is I'm not distracted by those details as I'm trying to figure out what's going on in these really complex, subtle colors. There's a lot of blue in that. A lot of yellow up here too that I didn't do. Maybe that's it, and that's what working on this thing does for me. You know, it's like I was sitting there looking at it. You know, because what I do is I'll frequently, like when I'm working on a painting, it'll sit on an easel in the studio, so I could every time I walk by it, I get a shot of it. You know, I look at it, and like I said, this one was. It wasn't like I was looking at this painting and like saying, "Oh wow, man, everything's coming out great. I love it." Every time I walked by, I was like, "Something's missing on that," you know, and it was bugging me. So the best way for me to kind of tackle that is to kind of dig in what I'm doing right now and just start working on it. Gary, thank you, brother. That's awesome. I appreciate that. Oh, good. Yay, excellent. Yeah, I'll get that right out for you. Your hummingbird will be on its way. And thank you. I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. Really, if you want to get a hold of me, sending me a message through the website is the best way to go, because you know the server that I use for the website is excellent, and I get all those messages pretty much right away or right away. Where if you send me a message on Facebook, there's a better than average chance that I won't get it right away or at all. So you know, it used to be okay, but I'm finding it very difficult to get messages through Facebook. Romper Room. It's awesome. And I'm going to touch some of these other areas, like I just barely see it down here. These are just as dark. I just want to get a little bit of paint on these to kind of get started, make sure I'm in the right ballpark. And then same thing back here. I'll just put a little bit back on this section. Again, this whole area is pretty dark, so I don't mind blasting that in. I don't think it's going to change. All right, so there you go. Up here too. Get this section up here. And again, it's the same marching orders. You know, I'm putting this in, and I know I do have to get it darker, but I also got to get all those details in. So I'm like, should I put another pass on it? And then as soon as I ask myself that, you know, the automatic answer is no. It's like, hold up, you know, wait, do the other stuff, and then see where you're at. Yeah. Actually, this whole area is pretty dark. Yeah, I really got to get back on this painting, because this is really good for me, because first of all, I need to get this painting done. I've told you guys the story behind it, or part of the story behind it. It's just been, you know, I've been like doing versions of this painting and not finishing them for years now. It just needs to get done for my mental stability. It's a story that I need to get out of my head, you know what I mean? Oh, I thought I ran out of paint. You guys are making it easy for me with all these suggestions. Astral, there looks like there's a bit of splatter technique required on the top of the brown shadow. Yeah, that's the, all right, so I know what you're like in here, like where the grain of the paper is. So I'm gonna, as I get closer to that, I think I'm gonna just airbrush that in manually instead of use a spatter, because I think the spatter might not give me the control that I'm looking for that. But yeah, that's excellent eyes, Astral. You're right on it. In fact, let me show you where I've already done that. So if I slide this over and move it, oops, all the magnets are falling. So if I slide that down like up in here, so that's going on up in here, or I started it anyway. That, gravelly paper texture. My mental stability is on a tightrope, exactly where it should be. All right, so I think, let me back you guys up. So here's where we're at so far. I'm going to move this light because it doesn't do much for it. But so now where I'm at is about 50, I'd say a little bit more than that. I'm probably about 70, 65, 70% of the way there where it needs to be. So now what I'll end up doing, and I'm not going to do it tonight, but now what I'll end up doing is putting in all these the etching detail, basically. So all the dark details, and then I'll go finish up the rest of the darkness. What will also give me a chance to do again, like I still see that orange in here, and that makes me feel really good, but as I start to really get this dark where it should be, I may lose that orange, and I may need to add a little bit more orange. Again, I'm in a good spot right now because it's not super orange that I'm screwed if I put the dark on there and I can't get it off. It's the orange is all over the place. The other thing I'm almost sold on now too, and I'm gonna wait till I get this whole build done, is I really feel like there's some red oxide in this kind of fold here. Again, I don't want to push it because I want to get this in, because again, everything is relative. I've got all this orange here, and that's going to carry into this area just by default. So I don't want to add it again and then regret it. So I'm going to do all this and then see where we're at. Other than that, I was worried that this was too bright up here, but looking at how overexposed the photo is here, I don't want that. I want it more that, again, I want it strongly lit, but I don't want it overexposed, which this photo is. So that I'm okay with. And I'm okay with the way this is too. And the background I'm pretty much okay with too. See, that's what I'm talking about. I look at the background and hate it, then I look at it as I put more stuff in, and then I'm okay with it. So so it's a juggling act is what I'm saying. It's just a back and forth, and that's really, it takes a lot of care, because you don't want to, you want to push things in little increments so that, you don't ruin the painting, so you don't do something you really regret. And that's what it is. So it's this weird tightrope of just kind of holding back and then yet still trying to push it forward. So it's this back and forth, which makes it so much fun. And at the end of it, when I get all this stuff like pretty much done, I may find like, oh, I need green in the background or something. And that's great. I can always, it's a beauty of the airbrush, is I can always, tint certain areas and add little bits of stuff as I go. Like Brian said, I've got my background obviously darker than the original photo because that's what I'm looking for, but it might still be too bright. Like when I get all this in, I may feel that the background's too bright, and that's the desk here. So I may have to do that too, but that's the fun part. Yeah, so there you go. I was looking, I might be wrong. The money doesn't look like connect to the background. No, Brian, there is no noob. There is no noob, because sometimes if you'll see something that I don't, even though, I've been looking at this stuff for whatever, you have fresh eyes. You might pick up on something. So, if you're in a comfortable place with the person you're talking to, you can always, like, if they want that feedback, which I always do, you can always give your opinion. Don't ever feel like, yours isn't valid, because your eyes are just as good as everyone else's. In fact, you know, if you haven't been slogged through all this stuff, again, you have fresh eyes. You know, you see things in a different way, and that's awesome. So yeah, don't ever feel like it's not valid. All right, what do we got? Rhea 1, she picked a painting. That's awesome. The other two will go live. I didn't use the PalCam, so I could just switch to this one, even though this camera got weird, because now you see all the cameras and stuff. I don't know how that happened. I think I moved the camera at some point. But anyway, it doesn't matter. What do we got going on this week? Tomorrow's time lapse is the Max Verstappen painting. So if you want to see how I painted that, come right back here on YouTube. It goes live at 10 a.m. If you would like to see that early, the time lapse early every week, if you become a member here, it'll get you a 10% discount on everything in the store, and it'll get you early access to that time lapse video. And the other thing that's coming up this week is the Open Studio and the Tokyo painting. That's coming along great. I showed you that earlier. That's coming along great. And I pretty much decided that the next Open Studio is going to be a pen. So I'm going to paint a pen from London Pen, which will be a lot of fun. I have no idea what I'm doing on that, but I have a few ideas, so we'll figure that out. That's what I got. So again, airbrush holder, hang in there with me. I'll figure something out. If I don't give that away, we'll come up with something else cool. But I'll figure it out. I think that's everything. So thank you all. Thank you all for hitting that like and subscribe. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for playing along. I hope you got your 543 suggestions in. We'll have another winner next week, and we'll keep giving away paintings till everyone won. So that's what I got. All right. I love you guys. You guys are amazing. Take care. Be good. And you get to look at the dollar bill painting. That's we're on our way out. So have a good week.